Welcome, everyone. I'm Greg Schnell, the Canadian technician, here to host the Market Buzz. This show looks at weekly setups across the U.S. market. Using the tools available on StockCharts, we'll look for long time frame trades. Please subscribe to my articles and Twitter feed. You'll find a lot more there. Okay, so we continue to have ourselves a big roaring bull market, and probably nobody wants to get on board, but I got to tell you, my data says run with the bulls here. Lots going on. Industrials and industrial metals are just rocking it. So all of those charts look fresh and ready to go. I think it's all on the back of the China trade. Steel, we're going to go through some of these charts today. They are just crazy rocking on here. So autos and auto parts, I would say, can't be. But as sad as it looks, they're all starting to turn up. So if I had a bull meter, I'm at 11, not 10. And out of 10, things are just set up to keep running here. So we'll see if that's going to happen. But I see quite a lot of good things out there. And the things that I would expect to happen are starting to happen, like in terms of where the money's rotating into. So I got to say, I like the setup here. San Francisco, I'm there tomorrow. So actually flying out of here in a couple of hours, and I'll be in there tomorrow at the TSAASF. So if you get a chance, I'm going to show you the sign-up page for it, but that's tomorrow at the Golden Gate University, and I have a whole fresh set of slides that are going to be pretty exciting. I think lots of people will enjoy those. Anyway, you can head over to that website to find more information. CMT Association meeting in Minneapolis. I'll be there with Jay Woods and Katie Stockton, Ralph Akampura, Craig Johnson. There's a whole host, Jamie Keelan. So I'll be in there with them. We'll be out at Ralph's barn doing the barn where he's written the Dow Jones on the side of the building. So that promises to be a fantastic event, and that is next Tuesday. So I would encourage you to sign up for that CMT Association meeting if you get the chance. Should be outstanding. Toronto Money Show, I'm there on the Saturday. I'll be speaking. So if you get a chance to catch me there, please come up and say hello. I'd like to take some time. And the Canadian Technicians Day is October 19th, and it's going to be both live and online. Very low prices on that one, $75 in person and $35 over the web. We'll have lots of data, but we've got Jeff Hirsch from Stock Traders Almanac. We've got Tom Boley coming out to talk about his relative strength methodology, and we've got Dwight Galusha talking about the power of scans and how he uses them and why he thinks they're pretty valuable, and the different types of scans that he has. And then I'll be speaking on commodities mostly, but on a big picture. And then we've also got Barry Powley. So lots going on over the next month. And hopefully, if any of those dates work for you, please join me. That would be great. So let's go over to the charts. And this is the TSAASF conference. And again, it happens tomorrow. So if you wanted to sign up, you got to hit this register button pretty much today so that they can manage the people. And then the other thing that I would tell you is on this conference, it's also held by the guys who are fundamental Wyckofians. Bruce Fraser is there. So lots of good things going on, and I think you'll enjoy the presentation. So please, if you can, make that fit into your schedule. Okay, let's jump on. I want to talk specifically about steel stocks, and I covered these off on the market review, and last week I was focused on the commodities because there were so many of them starting to break out. But look at this move in AK Steel this week. This is 22% this week, and we're just coming out of the base. I mean, we were making lower lows and lower highs last week. This first week, we're up 6 weeks, and if you use closing highs, you're not going to count this one. So we go back 3 or 4 months. We're at 3-month highs, closing highs in a couple of days here from being down near the low. So this thing went from $2 to $3. That's a 50% move in 2 weeks. Crazy stuff. Full stochastic turning up right where we like it. I want to show you Air Products, and there's a reason. One of the things that people get caught in with the stock market is when we're in a defensive period and there's a whole bunch of people in defensive stocks, Um, like this Air Products and Chemicals, these guys have done a merger, so there's some of that. But this thing is on fire from 160 to 230. Like everything's rolling over now. So this isn't the place that I want to buy this one for a consolidation. I would let this one consolidate and I would move on to some of these others because all of the signals, the industrials are taking off, industrial metals are taking off, steel, coal, everything is starting to cook. And I cannot say enough that when these things start to turn up, you know, commodities you want to be in relatively early. And, you know, 1 week off the lows isn't a bad place to get in. So anyway, I like this chart a lot. PPO is rising and hasn't quite gone above zero yet, but look at the SCTR is moving up above 75. And it feels to me like the bounce out of 2016, but all of this stuff is starting to run. And I hope you've been able to catch some of the oil moves. They've been big. So try and stay on board with that kind of stuff. This one is still consolidating here around the $1.50, and a lot of these charts have been beaten up, right? The China trade has really been knocking them out. But here's Allegheny Steel Technologies, and this thing was $17. It's already at 21 and a half. I don't know, 20% up in a month here, but this thing's turned up nicely. PPO still hasn't crossed, but the full stochastic is starting to move. Emco Pittsburgh, this one's still consolidating down here, but look at how close the PPO is to going to positive momentum. ArcelorMittal, one of the biggest steel companies in the world, if not the biggest. This thing is starting to rocket up 13% this week, coming off the lows. I really like the fact that this big downtrend here is in play and starting to move up. We've got our PPO signal line starting to kick off. My point is the whole group is starting to rock and roll, and we want to be on board with that. So here's BASF. I mean, this thing is literally cooking up 7% this week. Broke the downtrend, PPO buy signal, full stochastic moving above 50. We're above the 40-week moving average now. I like this turn. And again, if I thought it was just a bounce, like this December was a solid bounce. I mean, this went from $16 to $20, so that was pretty good. But we're seeing huge moves up, and look at this positive divergence. So you had a lower low here and a much higher low here. So as hard as it is to imagine, I see everything kind of working its way higher. So at this point, I want to continue to be bullish and trying to buy these charts as they start to break out. Here's Carbon Science, nothing I want to see there. Carpenter Tech, look at that move, 50 to 55 bucks, all in a week. So this thing's up 12%, you know, breaking to new 52-week highs. Hard not to like that. So PPO just turning above zero. Celanese Corporation, this one, look at this. This is perfect. Textbook 2-year consolidation and starting to break out as the market starts to thrust. Scooter ranking above 75. PPO starting to run. Hard not to love this. Chase Corp, this one, big week again here, 9%. PPO turning up right at zero. I love this chart. That is nice to see. Cliffs Natural Resources up 17%. Again, bouncing off the lows. It's been consolidating sideways for a while. So actually, yeah. So commercial metals, look at this one, just huge moves on some of these charts. And, you know, this one's just breaking out to a new 11-month high or so. You know, that's just perfect. PPO turning up, moving above zero this week, hopefully. Still slightly negative. We've got another week to go, but full stochastic bouncing at 50. You can see in a bear market, it continues to get stalled. Even here, it ran up very quickly and then rolled over. But here you're getting the positive bounce at 50. This is a very bullish sign, and this chart doesn't have very many of them. But, you know, a new whatever 52-week high or very close to it. This looks good, but up 20% on the week. So things are looking good here. The big one, Vale, this thing's starting to rock up 9% this week. Dow Chemical, big downtrend here, getting ready to turn up. The one thing I would say here is, again, you've got this big downtrend in momentum, and you're starting to get higher lows here building. I like the way this is constructing. I really do want to see a nice turn here. Full stochastic moving above 50. All of these charts look ready to run. DuPont, This chart is one of the ones that was strong while the market was going sideways. So I would be encouraged not to buy this chart because the PPO is already way up at the top, and I'd rather buy it near when it's starting to turn up. So here's Eastman Chemical. This thing's up 11% this week and starting to run. Again, one of the things about that I have trouble explaining to a lot of people is when you're in commodity related stocks or stocks that are very cyclical, you want to own them near the lows and you want to sell them near the highs. It's not that you're trying to buy breakouts to new highs all the time, because typically as commodities get to the top, then they roll back over, and then you want to be a seller and you want to move on to the next one that's starting to move up. So this chart is nice. I mean, some of these are still going to be new breakout candidates, but look at this. While the market was weak, this Fortescue Metals Group starting to turn back higher here. PPO turning up above zero. Very bullish. First time in 5 years on this chart. Love that kind of thing. I guess there's one in here, but love this when it pulls back and now starts to take off. Scooter ranking up around 90. 97, that's crazy good. And here's your full stochastic moving above 50. Things getting ready to break out. Big long-term picture on this just says nice. And Friedman Industries. So hopefully you're getting the idea here. These charts are starting to rock. And again, these are sorted alphabetically. I haven't done any sort of scooter ranking sort on them. But here's Huntsman's Corp. This one's up 11% this week, breaking out to new 5-month highs. PPO turning up right near zero, making higher lows, all of the things that we've heard in the stories. Lindy, this one is, I would say it's along the air products line, and perhaps it can turn up here. I just think some of these other charts have a lot more upside potential, but look at this one, big downturn slide, and then all of a sudden this week it's up 30%. I like the fact that this downslope, this 1-year downtrend in momentum starting to break, PPO moving above zero, back above the 40-week moving average as the whole group starts to turn. I don't know if this thing's going to go to $12 or $20, but I like the way it's starting out, that's for sure. So again, you don't want to buy the top of the candle, but if on Monday we had a pullback day just to scare everybody, that's a nice place to start to look on these. Okay, so this one, Meccal Steel, another big one. This chart's just been beaten up, so we'll just move on. Okay, yeah, same downtrend here, but this thing's up 6% on the week. I would expect this one to start to turn as well. And if we start to get that rise, remember the China talk started right back in here. So any sort of uptake here could be a pretty quick vertical move. This went from 146 to 674 in 3 or 4 months. That's a 300% move. So if this was going to start to turn, I'd probably want to be on board. That's a big company. Masabi Trust, nothing really there. MFC, this one looks nice actually. It's been up and then pulled back for the last 6 months or 5 months or so. That's okay, nothing wrong with that. Minerals Technology, I like this one starting to push back up. Lower low in price, higher low here. So lots going on. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and I'm going to go into the automobile sector and show you that and some of the reasons I want to start looking over there. And with that, we'll break for a quick break right now and come back. Thanks. And we're back with the automobile and parts index. What I want to talk about here is lots of good things going on in this sector. And I've been watching it turn up the charts for Ford, GM, Fiat Chrysler, all starting to improve. Toyota Motors has been a beast in there. That group is holding up well. I'm not sure Tesla's on my buy list yet, but there's lots of other car makers that look pretty good, and a lot of the parts companies are starting to soar. So this one, what I like is this PPO had a chance to really fall hard here on the news that, things were getting weaker, the auto demand is down, and this is a downtrend here, and then you got an uptrend. I like this starting to turn back up, break this little downtrend for the last 5 or 6 months, and starting to go. And again, the whole group is starting to go this positive full stochastic move here, where you make a much higher low on your full stochastic. This looks very bullish to me and looks like it wants to fire up, kind of like it did in here. And again, even if it's only for a couple of weeks, this is a nice move, but I get the feeling we're setting up for a lot bigger than that. Here's Allison Transmission. Wouldn't take much to break through this downtrend. This thing's only $6 off its highs. PPO gently winding down near zero here. Again, if that starts to turn up, I think you want to be a part of that trade. Shiloh Industries, I don't know them, but I don't like the chart shape in general. It's just pretty weak. Gentherm, this one's starting to bubble up here. Wouldn't take much to get going. Full stochastic turning up. PPO is just held in here. So again, the chart hasn't done much for 5 years. Probably wouldn't be my biggest favorite. I like this one better. Wabtec commercial vehicles here from 60 to 75. Move back up to 100. Could probably be in the cards, be a 30% upside. I like the way this chart is shaping up here. Scooter rankings getting up to one of the highest levels it's been at in almost a year. Momentum continues to improve. We just turned up here. It's pretty nice. This one, nice big breakout here to new, not quite 52-week highs, but very close. Starting to take off. So really a nice setup there. Federal Signal, this one's breaking out to new 52-week highs as we speak. There's a little intra-week high back here, but this will be the highest close. So this is just starting to shape up. I like that chart. Bluebird Corp, this one's making a higher low right here at zero. That's usually a very bullish place to get on board. So I'd be happy to see that. I'm not sure that the upside's so big for a company like this, but chart looks okay. This Greenbrier, big downtrend here breaking. And again, it's breaking with everything else, which is what I like. And you've also got this momentum trend line that you could draw and starting to break through. Full stochastic moving back above 20. This is really nice. And you start to see this scooter ranking being terrible, starting to improve back above 30. That's one of the two areas I really like on the scooter, moving from 20, below 25 to above 25, and moving from 70, below 75 to above 75. Typically an area I want to watch. But again, this company's was just near 5-year lows here, or 4-year lows. So all of a sudden for it to start to turn up, that would be a really nice move. And again, you're at $30. If you can get back to prior highs of last year, you're at 60. So Trinity Industries, same sort of thing, starting to push back up. I think these guys make rail cars, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, this starting to turn up here. Again, all of these charts breaking, PPO, sorry, the full stochastic down here for 4 months. Scooter ranking hanging in the low end here, just starting to turn up. These are starting to move above 50s bullish, breaking these downtrend lines on all of these, really nice. Ferrari's actually having a tough week, and I like everything about the car. I don't like the fact that the scooter ranking starting to fall, that this rolled over at 50. So I would probably avoid this stock actually until it starts to improve a little bit. Okay, here's Navistar, the big truck maker, turning up nicely, trying to get through the 40-week moving average. Really flat PPO for the last couple of years, but you can see a general downtrend since the China trade discussion started. 47 at that point, $30 now would be a 50% improvement to get back to the prior highs. Anyway, I like the way it's full stochastics turning up. Relative strength is starting to improve, and this is starting to kick higher. So lots going on this chart that I like. American Axle, wow, this was sold off so hard and really starting to do a quick turn. For those that like to rescue stocks, here's PACCAR. Wouldn't take much for this thing to get to new 52-week highs probably next week, and turning up right at zero. That's as rosy as it gets. Columbus McKinnon, huge consolidation for 2 years here, trying to get through $43. I like that. Genuine Parts, this one's really kicked up. I mean, this was $85 2 weeks ago, and we're almost 100. So this has been a big move, up 4% this week. Caterpillar, heavy equipment. I mean, if this starts to break out here, obviously one of the big favorites, it can move a long way. It's not my first choice. I like that PACCAR chart a little bit better, but here's Terex, same thing. All these heavy duty construction equipment companies started to break down when the China tariff started, and they've been under the 40-week moving average for a while. I like the fact that they're all trying to turn up. Dorman Products, again, nice big push this week, up 10%. Motor Car of America, not my favorite. The chart's been damaged for 4 or 5 years, so I'd probably stay away. Lindsay Corp, this one's consolidated nicely here, trying to hold in, and all of a sudden to have such a big candle this week. New 5-month highs, I kind of like it. I don't like the volatility, so I might stay away, but the PPO moving above zero suggests to me more good things coming. Standard Motor Products, nothing really there. Harley Davidson, wow, could this thing finally break a trend line? Again, it just seems like it's running out of buyers. Douglas Dynamics turning up nicely here. This is very close to a new 52-week high. Plow, it's called. So nice. I like the chart. CNH Industrial, almost new 52-week highs. So keep watching that one. PPO moving above zero. Freight Cars of America turning up here from $5 to 20 to just to get to last year. That's fourfold. Oshkosh staying sideways for 2 years. Again, it could take off and move up, but I'd probably pick something with a little more upside. Here's Deere & Company holding in here nicely for 2 years. This one I think I would favor more than this Oshkosh, but I just think Deere's got a lot of upside. If they can start to, if global economies improve, they'll pick up. Tennant Company, pretty much sideways for 3 years. Not sure it's big on my list, but that's quite a candle, 10%. Toro was breaking out to new highs anyway. Looks ready to make some more. Hang on one second, please. Cooper Tire, this one bouncing off the lows again. Getting back up to last year's highs here from 26 to 32 or 34. Wouldn't take much. So not my first choice again. I like some of the charts that are shaped up better. Kubota could do really well here. PPO turning up right at zero. I like that. Tower International, it looks like a buyout, so we'll just leave that one. Miller Industries breaking out to new 52-week highs. That one I like. Look at the PPO just resetting nicely at zero. Lots of room to run. This thing has a general uptrend. You can see the PPO has been above zero for most of the 5 years. It would probably just continue to fire here, so I would like that. Commercial Vehicle Group, this is down at $6 going to $7 this week already, so up 20%. I don't know what they do, but that's a crazy move. And if you could start to buy something off the lows here and it gets turned up, maybe that's a nice place to look. Superior Industries, big downtrend, $21 to $250. I don't know if it's going back, but look at that move already, 13% this week. PPO turning up. Look at the volume hitting this thing, 4 million. Beautiful. Forklift handlers, $60, trying to break out of this mess. I'll call it, in around 50 or $60 here. So getting through $60, starting to turn up, new 6-month highs probably next week. And if it started to break through this big downtrend right around zero, that would be even more bullish. So lots of charts here that I think are worth. Here's Magna. The stock is getting very close to new 52-week highs. Charts just starting to move up nicely. PPO moving above zero. Scooter ranking above 75. What's not to like? And really nice here. So seeing a base being built in this chart. Again, some of these more constructive charts look better. Cummins, PACCAR, Navistar, all of these charts starting to cook together. I think that's a nice grouping. PPO resetting right at zero and starting to take off. Full stochastic down around 20s, turning, moving above 50. I think you just want to be on board with that kind of thing. Okay, so one of the pieces of feedback I get is people like it when I go through one particular industry group or sector. And so I'm trying to focus in here. But this week, what the setup for me is that industrials are kind of where you want to be. All of the industrial metals have been sold off, so I really like those as a trade. But here's XLI. What is it doing? It's breaking out. This is 79.57, so that's a new 2-year high right in here, a new all-time high. I think the industrials are just getting going, and this is a great place to start to look for big upside. We already went through the steel companies, but you can do this with the copper companies, the aluminum companies, Alcoa or something like that. Look at these things starting to pop. I think the whole group is ready to run. And again, for commodities, you got to buy them near the lows, sell them near the highs. We're not trying to buy them and hold them. We're not looking for Amazon or something here. But my point would be that this move back into cyclicals, this is up 20% this week. And this chart, last year was $62. It's 23 today, 24. Yeah, $23 today. So almost up 200% if it could get back to last year's highs. So really big moves. And again, they don't all happen in a week, but when you see these big kind of turbo thrusts coming out of the base, to me, that's the kind of thing we want to see. So just looking here on the S&P 500, intraday, we just keep working our way higher. We're trying to take out the prior highs. Do I expect some resistance here? Yes. This daily chart, I don't like the fact that the PPO is starting to get up near the top here, but from the data I'm looking at beneath the surface here, we have so many groups advancing. I fully expect us to blow right through these prior highs. We're only less than 15 points away. We might do that this afternoon. Lots of things looking good here. Let's go look at the Russell real briefly. And the point I want to make is this chart just keeps working. All of the downtrends that we had in place, relative strength, it's starting to break out, and we're trying to get through this 1600 level. So I still like the chart. The PPO is trying to turn up. It hasn't quite got above its signal line. If this number goes positive, so this is the actual reading of the black line, the reading of the red line, and this is the difference between the two. So it's very close to getting a PPO buy signal right near zero. Again, it's been a hard market to analyze because we had a dip below, turn back above, fail. Looked very bearish right in here, but all of my data has turned around and over the last 3 weeks, and hopefully you've been on side with that. But we're starting to really turn up here, and I get the feeling that there's lots more optimism around the China trade deal. Maybe that's early. Maybe it only goes for a month, but I think you want to make money while the sun's shining. And right now, I'm in Phoenix, and the sun is definitely shining. So lots of good things to look at here as we move forward. So thanks for taking the time to join me on Market Buzz. Market Buzz airs live on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 a.m. Pacific Time on StockCharts TV. You can also catch replays on the StockCharts YouTube channel, which has a running list of technical charting informational shows. Now, just to wrap up, I want to head back and just show you the schedule again here. San Francisco tomorrow, the CMT Association in Minneapolis in the next couple of days here next Tuesday. So if you could make that, that's going to be a fun event. And the Toronto Money Show to wrap up the week. So with all of that, should be a big week, and hope you have one too. Thanks.